My name is Fat Puppy, and I am not a farmer. As a matter of fact, I'm not even a decent gardener. Roll the film. I don't know if you can see how yellow these leaves are. The light might not be good enough for you to see. Perhaps you can tell better by this right here, this squash plant. The tomatoes are a little bit lighter than they should be, but they're not yellow. And then there's some more squash that's pretty yellow. Today is June 6th, and I put 10, 10, 10 in these buckets to see how they do. My raised bed is doing fine. So that was June 6th. Today is June 13th. This is a week and a day later, I believe. And so here's the deal. We moved out to the country. I'm from the city. I grew up in the city. My dad grew up on a farm, but he told me, he said when he left, he wasn't ever going back. And so I don't know anything about gardening, anything about country life, other than I like living out in the country, the peace and the solitude, and I don't like neighbors. Well, at least not really close to me. So, I don't know, we've been out here about 6 years now, and we've planted a garden every year. Every year, we've planted a garden. So our first garden, you could say, we did here. It's a 4-foot by 8-foot raised bed. Now, admittedly, the first year we did it, was just a 2x4 all the way around, just barely get it up off the ground. The second year, I raised it up more. But here's the problem. Nothing really grew good there. Tomatoes, they seem to do all right, but nothing else grew good there. Now, it didn't take me long with a little research to find out two things. That's the wood line right there. The sun comes from that side. So what happens is it comes up and over, and it is very late morning before the sun actually shines over here. So there's two problems with that. One, the sun, it's not getting enough sunshine early enough in the day, because plants require a certain amount of hours of sunshine to thrive. That's number one. Number two, I'm in the south. Humidity here is high. So what happens when the sun hits it, well, overnight, it picks up dew. It gets wet. And so when the sun hits it, it starts to dry off. And the drying off keeps fungus and mildew and stuff from being a problem. So we had a twofold problem with this. Not enough sunlight to give it sun to cause the leaves to soak it in and grow a plant up, but also not enough heat, I guess you could say. Not enough heat early in the morning to get rid of the dew and the wetness that's on the plant. Now, as you can see, we have chickens over there. They're another story. Also, our first or maybe our second year here, we planted a peach tree. Now, I believe they say you have to give it 2 or 3 years before to start production. The first year, you want to get anything flowery off of it. As the flowers turn into the fruit, so the roots will grow good and deep, pick up nutrients and stuff. So I'm saying we've got 4 to 5 years on this tree. The fruit on this is actually looking better than it ever has. The problem has been in the past that about the time it's time to pick it, well, no, the real problem is it never gets big enough to pick. For some reason, it gets a certain size, and then I come out here, and it's all gone. I don't know if deer are coming out. So there's a lot of deer around here. I don't know if deer are coming out and getting it before I can get to it or what. We'll see how this goes. So far, it's not been good through the years, but this year, hope springs eternal. This year we might have some. So I'm thinking about 3 years ago. I decided to just till this whole piece of yard up where it was nice, pretty green grass, to till it up and plant a garden, a bigger garden than the little one I just showed you, and put more plants in it and try to fertilize it and see what we could do. Now, I live, woods basically surround me, and there are some trees in the yard. I limbed up some of these trees so that more sun could get down here, and it gets plenty of sun. We love corn. So I decided half of this garden patch, which basically went from right where I'm standing, right here, to that corner over there, over to where that burnt edge is over there, to this, y'all see that beagle? We call him Bob, because every day he goes down the ditch and he bobs, he stays in the ditch. And he bobs going this way. In the afternoon, he comes back, he walks in the ditch and bobs down the ditch, and then gets on his little dirt road and goes back wherever he lives. There used to be 2 beagles. I'm assuming another one just ain't with us anymore. So anyway, the size of the garden was, I would say probably 15 feet by 25 feet. And I know with corn, you got to plant it in blocks. And many of y'all may not know that, but you plant it in blocks so that, now see, now my dog is upset because he sees Bob. My dogs, I should say, are upset. When you plant corn, you got to plant it in blocks so that so the corn can get together and pollinate and cause the ears to grow. If you plant it just here or there, it won't grow that way. So half of this garden was corn. The rest was various things like tomatoes, peppers, squash. And it seems to me, if I remember correctly, the tomatoes did okay. I don't think the squash did good. The corn was very disappointing. We had plenty of ears of corn. They were about that big. They were tiny, tiny ears of corn. The following year, we did the same thing. We did a block of corn. I studied up more on how to fertilize, and we planted other stuff. Bugs got the other stuff. I mean, it gets really, really hot here, and then there's pressure from insects. So the bugs got the other stuff. So I said, you know what? I ain't farming. Well, I just ain't farming. I'm not gardening no more. I never was good at this. Hope springs eternal, but I'm tired of it. I can go to the grocery store and get my food. And anybody knows gardening is not a way to save money anyway, even if you're good at it. So then, early this year, I said, wait. I got an idea. Container gardening. I will get 5-gallon buckets from Ace Hardware. I will put it with black cow composted manure, which is supposed to be the best. And I will buy plants to put in there. And man, that ought to be awesome. Right? I am on crutches, and therefore I cannot get on my knees. So I'm going to do my best, and I hope you can see what I'm pointing at. Cucumber. Note how pale and yellow these are. And the fruit, this China fruit is looking kind of funky. Now, I put 10-10-10 of fertilizer. Oh, let me tell you what led me doing that. I found out that nitrogen, which is one of the key elements for growing plants, is water soluble, which means it basically washes out. So the compost that I have in here, we water it, and in the past 2 weeks we've had rain. So I think it's just washed out all the a lot of the nutrients. And so I decided to get 10-10-10 and put it in there. Well, that's been a week ago, and I don't see any improvement on this. The leaves are still yellow. But I just seen something that gives me a glimmer of hope. By the way, our strawberries seem to be doing okay. Now this is a squash plant. This right here is supposed to be a whole, can you see that? Yeah, that right there is supposed to be a whole lot bigger than that, a whole lot bigger. That's about as big and mature as it's getting. Remember I talked about the corn and how it had small fruit? Got the same thing going on with this. See the leaves? Yellow, speckled, looking terrible. However, I just noticed these are looking green. So I do have a glimmer of hope that something will happen here, but it might be too late for the fruit. It just might be too late, period. Now, if I can swing this camera around here without hurting myself, and I don't know if you can see it. Those are not as bushy as they're supposed to be. It's got a little bit of tomatoes hanging on it. Supposed to be a lot more leaves than this on here. I think a late frost may have gotten to this a little bit. I do have some tomatoes growing. Some of them look like they're getting pretty decent size, so that's encouraging. And my plant over there has done pretty good. I don't think it's as bushy as it's supposed to be, but I've already gotten some good tomatoes off of that one. Now this is a raised bed I just built a couple months ago, maybe not even that long ago. I bought some lumber, very expensive lumber nowadays. And I bought some special mixture from the local special mixture getting place. And I planted sunflowers. And they've been looking pretty good, except I just noticed something. See how yellow that is with the brown spots? Then my wife planted zinnias over here beside it. Now the whole idea of this raised beds, I want to plant flowers in it this year, and the next year put some veggies in it and top dress it with some compost and stuff. So needless to say, growing a garden is very not easy, pretty complicated when you start with nothing. Now I know some say, well sure, you just put seeds in dirt and it'll grow. That ain't how it works. You gotta have the right sunshine, the right water, the right nutrients. You gotta get rid of the bug pressure, the insects that want to eat your plants, and they're willing to do it before you get to them. Now, I'm sitting on about an acre of land here. This is my little paradise. I'm surrounded by woods. I am surrounded right here by 9 acres of woods that belongs to someone else. And I wanted to buy it. And I reached out 3 times and I didn't get no answer. So I'm not so interested anymore. I'm not trying to be sour or anything. It's going to be one of 2 things. Either I buy the land or I buy a camper. I'm going places.
Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe.
And when you subscribe, there'll be a bell that'll show up on the right-hand side of the screen. Hit that and you'll get notified every time I upload a video. Thank you.